Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back, everyone, to the YouTube channel of Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. My name is KJ, and I am your host and the guy who's going to review all this stuff for the new Marvel television studio that's on Disney Plus. Is the new series IronHeart Episode 1 spoiler review. So if you have not seen this show yet, please pause this. But before you go, could you please hit the thumbs up button on this? That would help my YouTube channel grow and get more viewers, more fans, more audience. And I just appreciate that if you did. It only takes 1 second or less than 1 second to hit that thumbs up button. Come back and let me know in the comments below, what do you think about episode 1 of IronHeart, which is now available on Disney Plus. And let me know what you think about season 1 of IronHeart in the comments below. So again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This episode starts off with a recap that's narrated by Riri Williams, aka Ironheart herself. And she also explains the difference between her and Tony Stark. Basically, obviously, Tony Stark, a.k.a. Iron Man, is rich, a billionaire, and Riri is just, like any other college students or at ITT Tech, struggling finance and student loans, of course, But she's very smart, and she knows how to build an Iron Man type suit with the material that she has been given. Very smart, really intelligent. And she, had made a little side cash, and she would do a lot of people's homework. So she would, that's a no-no in education. You can't pay somebody to do your homework, which this would be like she's inventing tech to people who are not actually inventing in it, but claiming they are, from different other campuses as well. She gets caught. And, of course, she gets expelled, basically kicked out. And then, throughout this whole season, pretty much, they're kind of hinting how we're watching her grow and mature, which is pretty awesome because it just shows how much, where she's at and, where the MCU is going, which I'm actually enjoying this, by the way. And as she's packing up, she does take an important device, and obviously her Iron Man suit, or her iron suit as they call it. And we also get introduced into the AI era of the MCU, where we know that Tony Stark has really started that from Jarvis to Vision from WandaVision and any other Avengers films that he was featured in. So he's really good at that. And obviously he made a lot of AI assistance for Spider-Man's suit from previous ones to the one he had from the last Spider-Man film. And so, this is something that Tony Stark has invented and made very good at, because she made an AI named Trevor. And it reminds me of it was a pencil, right? And it was a cartoon pencil. It reminded me of the talking clock. I forget her name. Miss Minutes. I apologize, from Low Key season 1 and season 2. And it reminded me of, if you're from the 90s, if you remember Hulu Packers. It's a computer company that, or the old Windows, I should say, had a cartoon, paperclip. That's what it reminds me of when she made this AI Trevor. And he wasn't the best, but she shows how good she is and how she can make an AI assistant from what material she has. But if she had the same type of finance, obviously Tony Stark has had through his whole life, she can do the exact same thing. And this is kind of like the whole theme throughout season 1 of Ironheart is she's trying to show everybody that she can do this exact same thing like Tony Stark's done, but make a better suit and better inventions. So she's very determined in this. And, you know, a lot of it's not great, but again, if she had the right, financial help, she could. But she's leaving and she flies back to Chicago, and the next scene we get a group of people breaking into like a museum, and they're kind of like hackers, and some are very good at whooping people and beating them up, but they're really good. But we see that they're kind of failing because of this guy named Stewart, who's played by Eric Andre, and I'm glad to see him in the MCU. So it's no success as they report back to Hood, which his name is Parker Anthony, I believe, or his name is Anthony Ramos, and he's talking to one of the crews named John, and Hood wants to replace Stewart as he's tired of him failing, messed up, hacking into systems. So they need one as they see Riri Williams flying in Chicago. As she is flying, Hood and John see her, and Hood feels like this is the replacement for Stewart. And, John follows her and finds where she lives. But as she's getting home, we get introduced to 2 other characters. Well, 3, I should say. The first character, we see Riri Williams texting to Xavier, who's a childhood best friend. And then there's this little boy named Landon, who is a small kid who's trying to, hustle, make some extra cash, as we see her iron suit kind of just break out. And then we get introduced to Riri's mother, who's a single mother now, a widow, because we know that there's a sad tragedy story that they're implying in here. It seems like the stepfather of Riri Williams has been murdered by something, or an event happened to him. And we see throughout this film that she is struggling. And, as like I said earlier, like I want to point out a fact too. Her suit, started malfunction. She crashed. And there's this guy that was in the scene preaching about Thanos, and he was saying Thanos was dust from the beginning. And he was like preaching about it, and then like the face on the on her helmet fell right in front of him. And what I got out of that particular scene was that I feel like this is a Doctor Doom reference, and I feel like they're teasing the idea now that the regular people, the civilians who are not superheroes or in any type of shape or form, they're going to start worshiping particular Marvel characters, whether they're the good guys or the bad guys, the good girls or the bad girls, whatever. But they're going to worship them like gods. And I feel like that when we get like Doctor Doom and Galactus, I think people in the MCU on Earth 616 are going to start worshiping them like gods. And I think that's where they're kind of directing this, because even in Chicago, they're preaching, and this guy seems like he's a fan of Thanos. So maybe now people within this year and this timeline, especially where it's at in the timeline, that maybe there's people who feel like Thanos was right. Maybe they should have all been snapped away. So that's still going on, but I got a lot of Doctor Doom vibes from that guy, and the way that piece from Riri's Iron Man or Iron Suit fell right in front of him, because I feel like he would wear it and put on a cloak like, Doctor Doom. So that's where I get out of this in that particular scene. And I love that when she crashed, it said Ironheart, and it had a lot of silliness. And you can kind of already tell that this show is going to piggyback a little bit of the story format. Not all of it, but just a tiny bit of the way they introduce Spider-Man in the MCU, who's played by Tom Holland. And that Tom Holland, or Peter Parker of Spider-Man, was a high school student. He was kind of, nerdy, obviously, really good with the tech, really smart. But with this one, they kind of put Riri in as a young adult in college. Because in the comic books, she's actually 15. She was 15 years old in the comic books, who started her journey as a quote-unquote vigilante. That's when she made her own Iron Man suit or Iron Suit. And in the comic books, Tony Stark was still alive. In the MCU, he's he's gone. But, that's where they're at. But that's where I get. And I like the way they kind of showed that and encased that in there. That they kind of just, they didn't keep her 15. And I don't think that would be a big deal because I believe that they're going to do a Young Avengers group, and I think she's going to be a part of it, but maybe they didn't want to do that age. But I just want to put that out there that in the comic book, she was 15 years old when she first made her Iron Man suit. So they're kind of playing off of that, but that's why I'm saying that there's a little bit of the story format of they've been using for Spider-Man basically, and a little bit of Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop as well. So, it has that format. And then later in this episode, she gets back to her mom's house or apartment. And before I go any further, I just love the way they showed Chicago in these scenes. It just feels like Chicago. And I'm just a guy from Chicago, so I really like that. And I just thought that was really cool. And then, again, we meet the other characters and, from family and friends. And they talk about, her stepdad and her best friend. And just hearing Riri explain how determined she is to create a better Iron Man suit, is very ongoing, and she's very determined. And then we see in the next scene, Riri and Xavier, they go shopping for some parts, but she doesn't have enough cash on her. But then that's where we see John, who just pays for the parts. And that's where the beginning of Riri Williams meeting Hood. And it kind of gives me the vibe of this love triangle between Hood and Xavier. I think there's going to be some type of love triangle and probably more. I'm pretty sure there's going to be another person that might catch feelings for her because of who she is, and she has that personality of she's a force to be recognized type personality. And I think a lot of people dig that. And someone like John, who's just the guy that's, delivering the message, I think he's going to be the most jealous one out of the whole season, and who's not going to really trust Riri the most. Because I think what they're going to showcase is, instead of giving us an origin story of Riri Williams, they're showing her trying to figure out who she wants to be, how she wants to be presented, how she wants the world to view her. And she has that mad scientist vibe going on. Again, a lot of like Tony Stark. She's very influenced by Tony Stark. So there's that mad scientist type of personality that she shows. And so, and she has the vigilante thing. So, you know, I don't think she'll be an evil person, but she's going to do some stuff that maybe Spider-Man wouldn't do. You know, Spider-Man may hold back some punches. She may not. That's the type of vibe that I get from this. Because, again, throughout this episode, everybody's wondering why she got expelled from college, and her mom already knew why. The whole reason, because she paid a janitor to spy on her and keeping tabs on her, because she never calls back, because we know Riri is still grieving over this incident that happened with her stepfather, and seems to be her best friend Natalie, who Xavier brings up. And he makes a mixtape for her and stuff. And it kind of like, in a way, just kind of triggers some stuff. But we see in the scene that she finally meets Hood and the rest of the crew as they trapped her in an elevator with some type of gas that makes it hard to breathe. But she figures out how to escape, because I guess it's part of the interview. And they're all really impressed on how she did it. And Hood really likes her. And so, you know, she joins after, you know, they show her some cash, so she joins. And you know what I felt like? I felt like now in this one episode that they're kind of doing, you know, it reminds me of the movie Emily the Criminal. And what I mean by that, it's like going against the system in a political way. She wants to prove that she's better and she's above everybody, right? And I think that it's like a political justice type thing. You know, she's doesn't want to be in the quote unquote, you know, cube. You know, she doesn't want to work in an office in a cube. She doesn't want to be tied down and only be told what she can make and what she's not allowed to make. She wants to be able to just make her own things on her own time, in her own space, and whatever she wants to do. I mean, she even told Xavier, like, she's willing to leave Chicago, leave the United States, and go to Dubai. You know, again, she's really just somebody, because, like I said, that's why I mentioned the movie Emily the Criminal. Watch that. The story format is so similar to that, because she's just trying to find her place, and she doesn't feel like nothing, the way that you're supposed to do doesn't fit her style or her aura or her unique artistic way of creating these iron suits and what she's trying to be. And you notice, not yet, and I don't think she'll say it yet, but she hasn't mentioned of becoming an Avenger, which is really unique. So I don't think she has the mindset of her wanting to be part of the Avengers. Like Spider-Man wanted to be part of the Avengers. Miss Marvel wanted to be part of the Avengers. Even Deadpool wanted to be part of the Avengers, which is a unique. So to me, she's the first one so far, and I could be wrong. There's 3 episodes out right now as I'm recording, but she doesn't seem like she wants to be a part of any type of Avengers. So we'll see where that goes with that. But when she does join this thing, and you know, she's gonna try to do this. She wants to make this extra cash, and it's kind of like a get fast cash scheme. And also it does have that like hacker vibes, like a story you would see about a movie or a show about hackers just being hackers, of course, as they're trying to break into systems, because that's what they kind of want her need her help with is to break it into a building with high security system is what I'm assuming, because that's what she can do and what her suit is capable of, because she learned that from Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. And now also in this scene, we see this tattoo on, like a red tattoo on Hood, and his cousin John is like doing some tattoos to kind of cover it up. But it was real interesting because this is kind of like a Mephisto connection, which, if you don't know, Mephisto would be the devil of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the MCU, not the Sony universe. But I'm just kidding. It can be both. Who knows? And then when we get to the end of the episode, as Riri is trying to reboot and create an AI assistant, she in her iron suit, she does this way where she has like a device that connects to her brainwaves, and she made an AI assistant that looked just like her best friend Natalie, and it freaks her out. And that's how this episode ended. Now, let's talk about some topics, because there's a lot that is going on in episode 1. The first topic, let's talk about Riri Williams. Now, the way they're portraying her in this series, her series, compared to Wakanda Forever, it reminds me of Spider-Man Homecoming, where Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War, where Spider-Man debuted in the MCU, he had this like upgraded suit to Spider-Man, right, that Tony Stark made for him. And with Wakanda Forever, Riri Williams' suit was kind of upgraded by the help of T'Challa's sister in Wakanda. The only difference is she couldn't take the suit back with her. It stays in Wakanda. It's a Wakanda property. Obviously, Peter Parker got to keep his suit that Iron Man made for him. And you don't know if maybe Shuri is keeping tabs on her and Riri Williams doesn't know that. But it has the same concept of Spider-Man Homecoming, as far as like they had a really nice suit, but sometimes they get a downgraded suit throughout this, because like in Homecoming, Iron Man took his spider suit away after the boat incident, right? And with this one, it seems like maybe Shuri may show up in this season, because maybe she's done messed up, but Riri's done messed up. Who knows? But I get that type of vibe from it. And the way they're presenting her in this is fine to me in that way, because it's not like a origin story where they're talking about her from the beginning. This is her trying to, again, mature, become a true hero. But she seems lost in her ways. She seems lost, and she might need some type of guidance to make her a person. But Shuri's not appearing up yet. Could she? I don't know. But that's the one person I would think that would, help her out if she gets any type of trouble, because she's working for the quote unquote the bad guys of this show. Hood, he's the main villain, as it's already known. And I think that in episode 1, I thought, okay, it's not a bad idea to start her off with this, and watching her just figure things out is really cool. I also like the support group that she has from her friends and family. And I also like the idea that everybody in her neighborhood knows her story and knows what she's trying to achieve. And they're all hoping that she becomes very successful, because I think everybody in the neighborhood in Chicago knows how smart and intelligent she is, and that she could live up to her full potential. But I think Riri is trying to discover herself and what that fully potential is. She's might not sure what that could be. Now let's talk about Hood. So we know that this is a character. His name is Parker Robbins, and he's got this cloak that again it's very heavily connected to the Marvel villain Mephisto. And it's very interesting because how they're going to introduce this main big bad character. But this character, Hood, he's a unique guy with great abilities that they have yet shown in episode 1. But hopefully throughout this season, we see more of his ability and what this cloak has done for him. But basically, he has made a deal with the devil, basically. But it seems like the deal that he made with Mephisto comes with a huge consequence. It's pretty much like selling your soul, but it's really interesting to see this in the IronHeart series, but I think it's very unique, and it's a huge difference to the way they portrayed him in the comic books, which is totally fine. He's a lot younger in this one, and you know, he's a very smart guy, and he comes from nothing, and we know that his idea of doing this has to go back to his childhood life. So I think through season 1, I believe that we'll get a good backstory or a flashback of when he was a kid, maybe, or a lot younger, I should say, to see where it all really began. But I like the actor who is playing him. I think he's doing a great job so far. And I think that it's going to be very interesting to see where they take this character in the MCU. And this character is very heavily connected to, honestly, a lot of these Marvel characters, from Miss Marvel to the Fantastic Four to Wanda to Vision himself to, I mean, even the Fantastic Four, this character is heavily connected to the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Like, he's got so much connections to it. Like, and I think this is a character I hope they don't kill off. I think this is a character I hope that he survives. But they didn't really give you a lot about him. If you're a casual fan and you're just watching this and you don't know nothing about Hood because you never read the comic books, which is totally fine. You know, they didn't give you a lot, but he has a really unique ability. And one thing I could compare it to like is the Marvel character Ghost Rider. That's the best way to explain this character named Hood, who's the name Parker Robertson. So I think it'd be worth it, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this character as a villain, and I can't wait to see more of him. Now, let me give up a theory that I have about this AI Natalie. I have a theory that I believe this is going to be the way to bring back Wanda's kids. I also believe that this is going to be the way to bring back Tony Stark, right? Because in comic books, you know, it's well known that when Tony Stark dies in the comic book, they bring him back alive as an AI, you know, and to see how Riri did that, it'd be very interesting if they go with that route, because they do have Robbie Downey Jr. back in the MCU, and we know he's playing Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom to be more particular. And so this really changes everything. Like, this connects to Doctor Strange, the first one and the second film. This connects to Wanda from the show WandaVision. And this definitely connects, and they always found a way to connect everything to the movie Avengers Age of Ultron. This is a one way you can bring back the character Ultron as well. And so if you look at this in the MCU, Riri has made an AI, right? That looks so realistic, like this using her brainwaves, and this character or this AI of Natalie looks just like her, like full body, full detail. And if you think about it, in the MCU, Tony Stark was really high advance with this, but even all the ones that Tony Stark made were never this advanced the way she did it. And that's very interesting. Yes, in comic books, Iron Man is more well advanced than Riri Williams as far as the inventions and how to do it. But for the fact that we know that he's no longer around in the MCU, he's gone. He made the ultimate sacrifice to beating Thanos in the Avengers Endgame. She's the one that just broke a breakthrough with this stuff. And once the words get out, like, people are going to want to know this, like all the Marvel villains and the Marvel heroes, like, this is going to raise some red flags. It's going to concern Nick Fury. This is definitely going to concern, I don't know, the Hulk, Daredevil, Spider-Man, 100%. But this is a way to really connect this story. For me, I feel like mostly this is going to be really connected for Wanda. Because remember, Wanda is looking for her children. Now, yes, in Agatha, Wanda's kids has been reincarnated into different people who have passed away. But this is such a huge reveal of what could happen. But I truly believe, in theory, though, that I just want to make clear that I think they found the way to bring back Tony Stark. Now, and I think they're going to do it in an AI way, like the way they have this character named Natalie, who's just the AI version. Now, this is not the actual Natalie who she's having grief over this past death and her past and Riri's past life, right? So I really think this is the tease of the return of Tony Stark, and that's just my theory on that. Also, I think this is another way to connect Spider-Man as well, to keep him well known in the MCU with the Sony situation, because in past reports, Marvel Studio wanted to do the fourth Spider-Man on a grounded level, a street level story, but Sony actually wants to do like another multiverse story. But I think what they just did is find a happy medium in a way to do a street level story, but with a multiverse story as well. And I think, again, just this episode has revealed that there's something bigger going on. And now here's another theory too that I want to bring up. I mentioned earlier there was a guy in episode 1. He was just outside of Chicago just preaching, saying that Thanos was dust from the beginning. My theory is, I said earlier, is that I believe people in the MCU, in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, the regular people are going to start worshiping these characters like gods. So here's an example. We know in episode 1 they showed the actual Natalie and Riri just goofing around with like their phone, making like maybe some type of vlog or a live stream like here. And she asked I forgot what the question she asked Natalie, But Natalie's like, oh, I just want to have. She wants to hook up with Thor, right? So we know that in the MCU, obviously Thor's is a god, and she wanted to hold the Thor's like previous hammer, mirror, and it just so that's a hint too, because who are these people worshiping? And I think it's going to be obviously Doctor Doom and Galactus, because of the fact that if you watch Daredevil Born Again, there was a cult that looked up to the Punisher. And we know the Punisher is going to be in Spider-Man 4, Brand New Day. And so now I believe in my mind is we're going to have just people worshiping or following a cult leader. And I think that obviously people are not going to, for the Punisher version, I think that one's going to end the quickest. But I think Doctor Doom's influence and leadership is going to influence a lot of people. And maybe they don't want the Avengers. Maybe they want Doctor Doom to be the hero. And that's where I get out of it. Also, I believe Galactus is going to be worshipped as a god as well. And this is for the people who think the world should come to the end. You know, the world's ending type of conspiracy theorists. And that's how they're going to portray that character in the MCU. And that's where I think when it comes to that particular reason. Well, I believe why they've been showing this since the Kate Bishop and Hawkeye, the Hawkeye series. Well, there's a scene where Hawkeye is going to use the restroom and use the men's stool, and it says Thanos was right. See, they've been teasing that idea that people are actually becoming fans of the quote unquote villain. It's kind of like art imitating life right now in a way, right? And I think, again, like I said, I think this is all about Doctor Doom and Galactus being worshipped as gods, leaders, dictators, whatever you want to call it. But I think that's what they're leading towards with this. So when we get to like Avengers Secret Wars, I think that's where you really start seeing it. I also think Avengers Doomsday is the start of it. But if you look back in the timeline of where this takes place, it takes place after Thor, Love and Thunder, and then from Werewolf by Night all the way to Captain America Brave New World, we don't hear nothing from Ironheart, Riri Williams. So it's very interesting that it's that far back, but I understand that at that time in production, I believe that there was the writer's strike, which is an important thing. And a lot of Hollywood studios were shut down until the writer's strikes was straightened out, you know. I think when they came to an agreement on financial pay and stuff, which is important, it's a union. I think that's then they picked back up. And so I'm not mad because Marvel Studios says that they were not going to do no more of the in-between stories, like go back to one phase. Like they were going to just keep going forward and forward. Like everything that would happen goes after each film, each project. But for Ironheart, I understand that this happened during the writer's strike, you know. So again, important actual event. But it's very interesting now to see that what she's doing, the events that's going to happen in season 1 Ironheart, is actually all way before Captain America Brave New World. That means what she's doing happens way before the Fantastic Four, Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, this is a lot. So, and to see, it's been known that, but you can already see this is heavily connected to Avengers Doomsday and then probably Avengers Secret War. So there's a lot going on. And to see where she's going to be at in the current presence of this moment is going to be interesting because, you know, the Avengers are the Marvel's Thunderbolts, aka the New Avengers, there was no Riri, but they did this in New York, so you have your excuse or why she didn't appear. Versus like there's no excuse why Spider-Man couldn't have showed up, but that's a different topic. But this is so far on episode 1. I like where it's going. I like the theories I just came up with, and I hope they may be true, they may not, but I see a lot of Doctor Doom reference and of course Iron Man reference. So you're getting the best of both worlds, and I'm really excited to see everybody to learn about this character, and I hope people really enjoy it. I know it's getting a lot of hate, but there's so much good things that it came out of these episodes. There's 3 episodes out right now, and I'm telling you, they're so good, and I'm enjoying this show already. Just, to me, this is a banger of an episode, and I like how they kicked it off. So if I had to give this a 1 out of 10, I gotta give it a 5. A little slow, but they didn't give us enough. But I think they're being better at it, where I think that throughout this whole season, you're going to truly appreciate this series. So really good. I love the actors and actresses in this, and I think they bring these characters to life so well, and I love everything about it. It just feels like a Marvel comic story. And I just like the fact that they did this in Chicago. So love it. I love it, and I can't wait to see more. But that's my review, y'all. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment Official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys, and peace out.